50 years ago this week, a new art form emerged from the Bronx. Hip-hop started as a music genre but took off to influence cultural life worldwide. We asked our next guest to help us take a look back. Mister Cee, producer and DJ, credited with discovering legendary artists like Biggie Smalls, you know, the notorious B.I.G. And today he is on Odyssey's 94.7 The Block, but this morning joins us over Zoom. Mister Cee, good morning.
Good morning. Happy Thursday to you.
Hey, good to see you. I know you got a big noon time coming up with the Throwback at Noon, which is a personal favorite of mine, as is The Block, to be honest with you. So, hey, thanks so much. Hey, what does this anniversary mean, this celebration? I mean, it's hard to really quantify the impact that hip-hop has had on the world over the past 50 years. So where do you start when it comes to honoring the genre?
Well, for me, I think it's really the pioneers of hip-hop that kind of set the tone for this thing 50 years later. You know, the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, the Melly Mel's, the Grandmaster Cass and the Cold Crush Brothers, the Roxanne Shantays, and so on and so forth. The people that paved the way in the late 70s and the early 80s that really set the tone for this genre. This is what the Hip Hop 50 anniversary is really all about, really giving those pioneers their flowers and their due, because when they was relevant back in that time, they wasn't really getting the respect that they deserve. So for me, I'm enjoying to see some of our pioneers really get their flowers.
I was going to ask, how I guess, significant is that for some of the early acts? Like you mentioned, the Cold Crush. I mean, Jay-Z has been rapping about that for years, how they were really almost taken advantage of back in the day by the music industry. But now to see it kind of come full circle and to see just how powerful these artists were back in the day.
Well, I mean, you know, nobody back in the late 70s, early 80s, nobody thought that hip hop was going to be a lucrative business. So whether it was the record companies not really paying the artists their full well worth, or whether the artist was doing shows and they wasn't getting their full well worth, it was really due to the fact that nobody really believed that this hip-hop thing would be what it is 50 years later. And so a lot of those type of artists from the early days of hip-hop took sacrifices. They was on the front lines for us and did these shows and did these records, which became legendary, iconic music that we love today. And it has set the tone to where now you got the Glorillas of the world and the Cardi B's of the world that's making a very, very nice amount of money off of it.
Yeah, for you personally, though, back in the day when this music really kind of it exposed all of these great artists, you know, in the Bronx and Brooklyn and things like that on the West Coast to a whole new audience. What was it like for you personally to see the music embraced and really take off?
Well, you know, me being a kid coming up, just loving the music. You know, back then we was just getting like cassette tapes of the Cold Crush Brothers performing at Harlem World, you know, or just hearing legendary DJs like the late Lovebug Starsky DJ on cassette tapes, and these cassette tapes would float all around the city. So that was our email, so to speak, was a cassette tape just floating around, or we would get a copy of a copy of a copy of a cassette tape, and it would just travel all throughout the city. And that's how we got to fully embrace this thing called hip hop. And then slowly but surely it spread it from there, from when the artist was performing to them actually making records till it becoming music videos. And here we are. And
it's amazing when you talk about that, because I was listening to LL Cool J talk a story very similar to that about these cassettes being passed, you know, hand to hand. And then all of a sudden somebody kind of figured out, hey, we can actually make money off of this. And then that finally really transitioned to really kind of setting a whole different stage. I want to ask you about this concert at Yankee Stadium. We've been taking some chopper shots over Yankee Stadium all morning. The stage is set. For people who are going to be going, tell them what they can expect.
Well, it's going to be an incredible concert. I just want to salute Nas and everybody at Mass Appeal and everybody that's putting this concert together. I mean, you know, just like us growing up with hip hop, we grew up with the Bronx Bombers, with the New York Yankees at the old Yankee Stadium. And to be doing this show tomorrow, you know, the old Yankee Stadium was the house that Ruth built. The new Yankee Stadium is the house that Jeter built. It's just amazing. It's something that you cannot even imagine, that tomorrow so many of these hip-hop legends, whether they are the pioneers or some of the current artists, is going to join forces together and celebrate this thing of ours called hip-hop at the cathedral of sports Yankee Stadium is just an amazing thing, and I can't wait to see it.
You were around at the beginning. We bring up names like legendary Big Daddy Kane. As I mentioned before, you were so influential with producing for Biggie Smalls back in the day. Some of the legends that we're going to see tomorrow: Run DMC, Fat Joe, Remy Ma. Some of the legends from the early days like Roxanne, Curtis Blow, the Sugar Hill Gang. Are you going to be able to take a moment when you're there and to be able to kind of look around and see these thousands of people that are there celebrating this genre and be like, wow, man, this is really hard to believe back in the day it would ever turn into this?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm taking it all. I've been taking it all in kind of like all year, because I've kind of knew that this celebration was going to happen, as well as LL Cool J's Rock the Bells Festival that happened last Saturday. It's been so many different events that has happened throughout the whole year, and I've just been taking the whole year in. Even though tomorrow's the official 50th birthday of hip hop, beyond Yankee Stadium, just all of the celebrations that's been happening with so many different people putting together so many different types of events, whether it's dedicated to the rappers or dedicated to the DJs or dedicated to the breakdancers. I just been taking the whole year in about this amazing accomplishment that how we've come so far.
The great thing about a birthday, it can be as long as you want it to be. Mr. Cee, thanks so much. We really appreciate you talking with us today. Great to see you and great to hear from you each and every day on the block. 94.7 Throwback at noon. Check it out. For more information about exclusive interviews and hip-hop playlists from Odyssey, go to our website at cbsnewyork.com. But we thank Mr. Cee for joining us.